Okay, before I start the story, let me tell you this. Milk. That's the ingredient that started this whole mess. I was in my bedroom one day tinkering with my new science kit. The instructions said for ages 16 and over. I'm only 10. Anyways, I was doing experiment number 1 just as my dog, Deci, came bounding at me. She crashed into me and chemicals dumped all over her. "Deci!" I shouted. She was gagging as if she couldn't breathe. I grabbed the closest thing available and dumped it on her. It was my glass of milk. I don't know why I did it. Her reaction scared me and I just did it. The moment I doused her, she was perfectly fine. She looked up at me, completely normal. Unexpectedly, after 5 seconds of her staring at me and me staring at her, poof! A puff of blue smoke exploded around her and twinkling lights shot off her like a miniature fireworks display. I slouched down on my beanbag trying to interpret what just happened. As if to say thanks, Deci jumped on my lap and started licking me. Then she jumped back off and went to her bowl of kibbles. "Don't forget to walk the dog," shouted my mom, who was in her room. "Okay," I said. I went and got the leash and tied it to Deci's collar. As soon as we stepped outside, Deci went bounding ahead of me like normal. Deci is a Jack Russell and she has a lot of energy. It always takes all my leg power to keep up with her. Then this crazy thing happened. Deci flew. I'm not talking about she jumped really high. She literally flew. She almost pulled me off the ground with her. She was about 10 feet above ground and I was the only thing holding her to earth. I would have thought it was fun, but all the neighbors were staring. I heard shouts like, "Wow, a flying dog. Mommy, I want a dog like that." "Hey, get the phone book. Let's call the news." Cool, I thought. I'm going to be on the news. The news reporters showed up and took pictures of Deci. Then they asked me a ton of questions. A few of them were, "What is it like to be the owner of this flying canine? How did this happen? Could you get me a tuna sandwich?" It was fun at first, but then they wouldn't leave. They stayed about until midnight and returned at 6 the next morning. Deci wasn't enjoying it at all. She hated flashing lights. The constant noise was making her jumpy. Then someone asked, "Can we see your dog fly for some pictures?" I sighed and said, "Okay." I hoped they'd leave if I gave them what they wanted. I tied the leash to her collar and said, "Let's go for a walk." That got her attention. After all the commotion, all Deci wanted to do was go for a walk. We started running and Deci started flying. Then the cameras flashed. Deci got totally blinded by the light. She couldn't see where she was going and crashed into the tree. Deci fell, a bit of blood trickling down her forehead. But that didn't stop one reporter. A tall, skinny lady with a crooked smile pretended to wipe up the blood, and when I looked away, she snatched Deci. I turned back around as she was just about to escape. I heard her bag whimper. I stopped her and said, "Excuse me, but may I please see your purse?" "You have no right to see my private stuff. Now please, let me go," she said with a sharp, fake voice. I grabbed her purse and looked inside. Deci was cradled in a tight ball, obviously uncomfortable. I took Deci, ran inside, and locked the door. I had tears streaming down my face. How I despised those people. Tomorrow, I thought, they have to go. The next day, the paparazzi showed up as the smell of bacon drifted from the kitchen. I walked out and said, "Sorry guys, Deci's flying wore off overnight." "Oh really? Prove it," said one reporter. "Watch." I tied the leash to Deci's collar and said, "Let's go for a walk, Deci." She just sat there, sniffing the grass. The reporters urged her to fly. They begged, they pleaded. She wouldn't budge. Finally, the reporters sighed and left to find another good story. I looked down, surprised they didn't see the crumbled bits of bacon in the grass. I went inside grinning and poured myself a glass of milk. I never took Deci out flying again. At least not during the day.